Adventure at the Schauinsland. Spoken by
Isabel Mirol,
Lara Hehl,
Tobias Hoppe,
Lisa Bernack, Valerie Holland,
and Julia Goebbels.
Oleg was far too excited to sit still or be quiet. It was his birthday, and his parents were taking him to visit the Mime Museum inside the mountain Schauinsland.
Oh, Oleg, please be quiet.
Do you think there will be gnomes there?
Well, I think...
How often must I tell you? There's neither a Father Christmas nor gnomes.
Andrei was Oleg's big brother, and he always pretended to be very grown up, although he was only 13 years old.
I didn't even ask you. And if you keep saying such horrible things about Father Christmas, you certainly won't get any Christmas presents this year.
The car had only just stopped when Oleg threw open the car door and jumped out. Father opened the boot. Inside were 5 pairs of Wellington boots ready to use underground.
I'll keep wearing my trainers.
That's up to you, but I'll tell you again, the ground down there is wet and you'll get cold feet.
I certainly don't want to look like them.
He pointed to his small brother and Paula, who were playing tag in their yellow oilskin jackets and their Wellington boots, which were far too big for them.
Your turn.
Got you.
Again. You won't get me.
Okay, got you. Andrei, please wear your Wellington boots. I don't want you to get sick, honey.
Paula glanced back at the circular shape to see all that was left of the outside world. Treetops were swaying softly in the wind, and somewhere, far away, an angry car driver tooted his horn. After a few steps into the mine, darkness had engulfed them. Only the faint glow from the lamps flickered in the darkness, making shadowy figures on the walls. Paula was worried and took hold of Oleg's hand, who was walking in front of her. Single file, they moved through the maze of dark and wet corridors.
Oh no, what a pity.
Haha, somebody seems to have wet feet after all.
When they reached a bigger space, they stopped to listen to the guide, who explained.
This mine is 800 years old, 100 kilometers long, and has 22 floors. It was built with great difficulty by miners using only hammers and chisels.
Oleg listened attentively, but then he couldn't contain himself any longer.
Are there gnomes too?
The guide looked puzzled because he had been interrupted by the question. Oleg wasn't pleased to see him grin when he answered.
No, of course there aren't any gnomes here, and there have never been any either. But the miners were very small so that they could manage the small passages. That must be the reason for all these fairy tales and stories.
He was obviously very proud about his theory, but Oleg didn't like it one bit. Just when the group with the guide started to move forward again, something tore Oleg's coat.
I must have caught it somewhere.
He tried to free himself with one hand. Suddenly there was a loud whisper from Oleg's coat seam. In the beam of Paula's lamp they could see a small man standing there. On his head he wore a red-pointed cap which had slipped down onto his forehead. The gnome cleared his throat and finally let go Oleg's coat seam.
These guides haven't really got a clue. They are annoying snobs who think they know everything about the mountain and the mine.
He wiped his small wrinkled hand clean on his brown trousers and, as far as his short arm allowed, stretched out his hand towards Oleg.
My name is Borgin Thorison.
Of course, Oleg and Paula still had quite a lot of questions. You have to take advantage of meeting a real gnome.
Our world deep in the mountain, where silver is glistening on the walls. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to take you down into the secret passages. We have rules which we have to strictly obey, and one of them says that we are not allowed to take human beings into our part of the mountain.
Aww.
What a pity!
Nevertheless, with his stories, he managed to give the children who were sitting in the darkness an idea of his kingdom of glistening jewels. Unfortunately, time passed too quickly. Oleg and Paula had to go back to the others before they were missed. As a goodbye souvenir, their new friend gave them a piece of silver.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Oleg quickly slipped it into his trouser pocket.
Where have you been?
Somewhere in the distance they could already see the light of the exit shining through the darkness.
We met a gnome.
Did you not listen? Did you? They aren't any gnomes.
A moment later, Paula stepped behind Oleg into the loud, colorful world, which suddenly seemed very strange to her. Andrei had stopped and grabbed Oleg's arm.
And now, finally, tell me, where have you really been?
His brother didn't answer, but pulled the piece of silver out of his pocket instead.
What's that?
We got that from a gnome here.
Perhaps you should stop pretending to be so terribly adult and super clever. You don't really know anything. I did meet a real gnome today.
Oleg enjoyed the confusion which visibly showed on Andrew's face.
One of these days, I'm going on a trip on Father Christmas reindeer sleigh. And I'm most certainly not going to take you with me.
Das war Abenteuer am Schauinsland. Herausgegeben von Katja Schnitzer, erzählt von Hanna Vogel, illustriert von Nicole Bertram, übersetzt von Hendrik Porteu, Ali Tonk, Skajdrite Romanchuka. Gesprochen von Isabel Mirol, Jasmin Mangold, Julia Goebbels, Julia Weber, Lara Hehl, Lukas Neufeld, Tobias Hoppe und Valerie Holland. Das mehrsprachige Bilderbuch Abenteuer am Schauinsland ist im Rahmen des Projekts Lesen in allen Sprachen unter der Leitung von Katja Schnitzer an der Pädagogischen Hochschule Freiburg entstanden. Im Jahr 2013 wurde es in der Reihe Sprachenschatzkiste des Jos Fritz Verlags in Freiburg veröffentlicht. Das Hörspiel zum Buch ist im Jahr 2014 entstanden. Konzipiert und produziert wurde es von den Studierenden des Seminars Als die Bilder sprechen lernten, unter der Leitung von Natalia Hahn und Franziska Trischler an der Pädagogischen Hochschule Freiburg.